All right. I'm testing my volume right now. Okay. Oh no, why is there playback? That's why. Okay, let me exit that out. Okay. It's the holiday season, and for my baby disciples who aren't here, this will be going up onto YouTube after I finish recording this. But for now, I'm trying this new stream setup. I'm using Streamlabs because it has more like overlays, and I don't have to manually do that, so that's why I'm trying it out, but I don't know how that's gonna work, so we'll see if we like it or not. Where the heck is this chat box? Okay, add Twitch chat. Okay, we'll put that over here. Move this baby up. And then I gotta get my video capture device. Ooh, there I am. Okay, oh my god. Let's just shrink that baby down. You don't need to see me so clearly. Okay. Well, I know that in my Patreon poll, I don't think a lot of the people who I will be critiquing will be here available, but it's fine. Just pretend it's like a recorded video I'm doing for you. So I guess we will start with Greta's first, because she gave me a lot of examples and oh, hi Bisu, hello. I have yours pulled up right here. We'll get to you in a bit. But we'll start with Greta's first anyway, because she gave me a shit ton of references and stuff, so I might as well. How's the volume right now? I will assume it is okay because no one is saying anything. Okay. So for this, I would say Greta had some concerns about composition, and one thing you're gonna notice is that right over here, look at this slim ass spacing. Like when you are doing compositions, you want to avoid doing compositions that touch the edge like this, just because it makes the viewer feel very constricted and very claustrophobic. Like, don't you feel like you want a little more breathing space? So first, before I do anything else, I am going to be a little lazy, and we are just going to move that over a tad bit. And then to exaggerate this sort of downward angle, I might even change the composition to be a little taller, so that we're now following a little bit more of that 2/3 rule. So I'm just gonna choose this color right now, fix that real quick. Pretend that there's some picture frames. All right, we'll just do the picture frames in a bit, but we're trying to fix the overall distorted camera angle, and so I want to exaggerate more of the angle, because when we are pointing downwards, especially like if we're a bird's eye view, everything near the bottom is going to get shortened. And so one good way to do that, if you have Clip Studio, I think they have grid overlays that help with perspective. I am sure Photoshop has it, but I have not yet played around with it, just because I'm a little bit more comfortable. Like, I'm familiar with like this specific angles. I don't need it, but if I figure it out, I will tell you. But for the meantime, I'll just show you like how I would draw the grid lines. And so, excuse that. So basically, when you're doing grid lines, you want to consider, okay, where's your central focal point? And so we're going to pretend the focal point's like right over here. So that means everything else is going to have to radiate from there. All right, so you're going to see that some of these aren't quite exaggerated enough, like the angle of the picture frames. And so that's why it's not reading as much as a bird's eye view right now. So what you're gonna have to do is take this, and I'm just gonna do some perspective warping. Ooh, let's do some skew. Okay, fix that right there. And then perspective, again, because you are sort of like a down, up to down view, things are going to be bigger up here slightly. Just ever so slightly, not too much, because then it'll look like too many like downturn angles. You're going to look like you're looking down from here and then you're also looking down from here. What the heck is this? Why is it like this? Scoot that baby over. Oh shit. Okay. Scoot that baby. Okay, pretend that is... Alright, that does not match. There we go. Alright. Cover that up. Okay, so right here, again, that angle's not quite right. This time we can totally use the perspective, so we're going to shrink that just a tad bit. There you go. Get that shit out of here. Skew that. I will just say, I had a little computer crisis this morning. I don't know if it's just a general consensus that Razer is not that great, or if it's just because I bought this off Amazon off a second party, but my Wi-Fi chip, the Wi-Fi / Bluetooth chip on my computer is like a total bitch, and it on occasion it decides to stop working, so everything else on my computer works except the Wi-Fi connection. So I end up getting this crisis of like, Have to slap a ice pack on it and hope for the best, hope that it cools down or something. But most of the time it's just me praying for God for it to work. No. Okay, you see this like ugly ass ankle? This is indicative of like a less exaggerated angle. So we gotta fix that shit. Gotta get it out here. Doop. Living on the edge. You are right. I swear, I tell myself I'm supposed to get a new computer, but I feel bad. I spent so much money on this laptop. I don't I don't want it to go to waste. So, we'll just keep living on that edge, one step at a time. Just it'll be like daredeviling. Yeah, Razer is so expensive. I bought it just because I wanted that computer power, the RAM, the graphics card power. And all the reviews said like, oh damn, Razer's great for that, super powerful. And I was like, yes, let's go for it. It's almost like a gamer, yeah. And then little did I know, after 3 months of using it, it's like suddenly one day it shows up. It stopped. My Wi-Fi chip just decided to stop working. It's like, what is this piece of crap? I spent like $1,600 on it, and it was also on sale because it's like a older version. It's like a 2020 version of the laptop or something like that. Yeah. So lesson learned, don't buy computers from Amazon and don't buy an older version. Just foot the cash to buy the actual from the actual website so you get some tech support. But broke life be like that. It's okay. Anyway, if you notice, I am fixing all your perspective issues. Alright, so you see that I drew these grids here, and then what we can also do is do some horizontal grids to help ourselves as we go down, and that will show you how to foreshorten. Why is it that this table is wonky? That's my question. Why is it not following the straight line? You have the shift button and you have the brush. Super easy to get straight lines. There's no excuse. All right, shift, hold shift down, paint, or hold shift down and do whatever shape you want, and you will automatically have straight lines. There's no reason. And in the case that you are trying to do an angle, then that means everything else has got to also shift. You can't just have the table be on an angle. All right, so 3D model. Is this the Clip Studio 3D model? Because it looks like the chair and the table and stuff. And yeah, it's good for like a base, but I think you're gonna have to like play around with it a little bit better because it does make it wonky when you have so many angled and then like straight, so everything looks wonky. Oh, I used a program called Rhino. Yeah, I'm not familiar with that one, but I assume that it's very finicky with how it likes to put stuff, so it doesn't like line up perfectly. But that is what your manual painting skills are for. This is why we are better than AI. We can fix things ourselves. Okay, I know there's a whole discussion about AI right now, and honestly, I agree with a lot of the things that are being said about like the issue isn't the program, it's like the way they choose to use other artists' work without their permission, right? Like, if I'm sure artists, if they were asked first and given proper like compensation, we'd all be fine. Oh, it's for architecture. Yeah, makes sense. But I feel like on the same, going back to my thought about AI, I'm just like repeating a lot of what other people said, but I definitely think that what AI is doing, it kind of just basically, people are saying like, oh, their artists themselves aren't as valued as AI, which is like really dumb, because if you think about it, originally people are the things that make the world work. So even if we want to find shortcuts, there has to be a better way to make sure that we're maintaining sort of a human connection to whatever we're doing. or it just becomes a very kind of sad, bleak reality. Sort of how like they have those like sci-fi post-apocalyptic worlds where it's all machines, and I don't know if I want to live in that kind of future, you know? And I will definitely check out Rhino and see how I like it. Is it it's a program, how much does it cost? I know I've only used SketchUp, which is okay, but I feel like it takes some time to find models that you want, and if you're trying to build the model yourself, it takes a learning curve to learn how to use it, and I'm very lazy. I'd rather just, you know, if I'm having to build a model, I might as well just like draw it myself. Which is so counterproductive. I might as well build the model so I can use it in any angle. You hate SketchUp? Yeah. Yeah, I think SketchUp is just like fine for like really casual if you just want to fuck around with. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. It's sort of like how Maya is super powerful, and Blender super powerful, but it's a learning curve, a bit of a learning curve, because you got to figure out like, oh, how do I do this specific like function and that kind of shit. I took a class for Maya, and that shit, even though it was like this quarter was like 10 weeks, I still only barely brushed the surface for it. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I definitely think Blender, I feel like it's good for like sculpting, especially organic forms. So, but for like tables like this, which is one only thing I think Clip Studio is good for. They have like nice 3D models that are not super wonky. Okay, let's pull back my grid. All right, and then I'm just going to fix that up like real lazily quick. Okay, so some other things that we can fix real quick here. All right, you see how big to small kind of thing, and I'm following that angle. And that helps already read, helps the whole picture read more as like, okay, this is a top-down angle. This is really lazy, so you'll have to pretend I fixed it for you. I'm sure you can fix it yourself, so just, you know. Oop. Sorry, my sister's in my room. I'm just gonna turn off my camera for a sec. Hi, Gucci. Is this like a car? I'm gonna assume it's a car. Yeah, you got me? Perfect. I don't have to work so hard. I'm just gonna scribble it in. You can put whatever you want right here. I would say maybe, yeah, I would even scooch this over more to the right, just so it's not so lined up. It's Kobeni's car. Ah, perfect. All right, I'll leave it to you to do all the details, but okay, like that. All right, we'll just call that for the pictures. Oop, I'm just gonna cover that up. Ugh. I don't like how that lines up. So what I'm trying to do right now is like try not to get the pictures too lined up, because when things are too straight or too lined up, it looks a little bit odd. Ugh, I did not fix this correctly. Okay. Oop. Perspective. Oh. So I put I supposedly put a Twitch trap overlay on this video, but Streamlabs is lying to me. It is lying to me. I put it like smack right here, but nothing is showing up. Or maybe I just can't see it from my end. Twitch. Oh well, you guys will let me know if nah, it's not there. Yeah, Streamlabs is lying to me. I even looked it up. I was like, how do I add a Twitch chat so people in the future can see the spicy, juicy conversations we're having? These stupid things. Can you tell that technology is not my friend? Like, I'm an artist in this age, but technology is not my friend. Where is it? Text, chat box. Is it add source? Add a new source then, I guess. I don't know. Twitch. Woo. Oh. Add source, font settings, visual settings, Twitch. Alright. I put it there again. Changed some settings, see if that works. But if it doesn't work, screw it. I don't care. People are just gonna have to infer what we're talking about. Which I'm sure my audience is smart enough to do that, so... How is that not straight? Why does that actually look so wonky? Okay. And I'm glad you did shadows this time, so congrats, good job, good job. But I would say shadow... Hey, shadows are really important, so I'm glad that you picked up on that from last time. So we're learning every time, you know? Okay, so table, it's gotta be a little bit straighter. I guess, yeah, so it wouldn't make sense if the table's not aligned with the wall, because I've never seen a cafe table that's not like somewhat straight and lined up. So I'm just gonna fix that up real quick for you. And then because we are in this downward angle, you're not gonna see a lot more of that table leg. So I'm just gonna cover that up a little bit for you. And that leaves a lot more space for their feet. And then you can bring back some of that bounce light or whatever to communicate that table leg. I'm choosing a slightly cooler color just because, what am I on? There we go. Let's see. Actually, maybe we need a warmer color because everything else is kind of warm, so we gotta bounce it back. Yeah, maybe something like that. Alright, and then for the angles of people, let's see. I'm gonna try to draw an overlay, see how that works. Okay, so again, we're gonna keep that perspective. So head. I think it's pretty close. I would just push the arm in a little bit for that side, so. And then we gotta fix that a little bit. Because you gotta remember, if you're coming from the top down, everything's gonna sort of like a cone. Yeah, I have finally caught up to it. I caught up to, what was that episode? I just finished the episode where Makima, you think she's dead, but she's not. She comes back and she like just screws over everyone because, spoiler alert, she's control devil, so obviously she can't die. But no one knows that. Secret. Spoiler alert. Oh, done. Okay. Yeah, anyway, I've been really enjoying it. I think that the studio that's been animating it has been doing a great job. Because it's really hard to capture that kind of the manga's sort of grittiness while also still being able to like do all the action scenes really well. And I don't know how I feel about this arm. We're gonna change that position of that arm. I feel like you could have it instead. Okay, I'm gonna turn her body. Turn their body. Come on, turn it. Turn Angel's body. Whew, okay. Merge that down so I don't have to look at it. And I would say for feathers, you're gonna wanna, to make it look like wing feathers, you're gonna have to make sure you keep that shape like that. If it doesn't have that shape, it doesn't look like a feather, and usually the wing would poke out higher just because if the wing isn't big enough, I don't imagine you're ever able to fly, even if you are weighing like say 50 pounds. Have you seen like that series by what's his name called? I forgot his name called, but it's called Maximum Ride, and it features like these kids that are avian, half human, and their wings are huge, and it only makes sense like that just because birds, they're small enough so their wings can, but they're still about the size of their body, so you have to think about that. So make sure the wings are big enough, or else it just doesn't make sense. Like even in anime characters, I literally don't understand how those with like their tiny ass wings. Maximum Ride, shit, I loved the mangas. I think it was by Nara Lee, I think, the illustrator, but that shit smacked, yo. I don't think they ever continued or finished it, which makes me so sad. Okay, so we have to make sure the shoulder is rounded because you are top down. So when you're top down, you see how like it follows the back curve. So that's why you have to reflect that. You did a great job here. Push that back. And because I turned the body, that means everything else has got to turn a little bit. Just like that. And then I'm gonna get rid of this arm because, like I said, what the hell is this arm? It's looking a bit awkward for me. We could instead maybe place this arm. If we place this arm here like this, then we could have Angel's arm, like, I don't know, doing something like this. Move this cake. The scaling, yeah, you were right. The scaling is a tad bit off. Angel needs to be a tad. Yeah, okay. So what you want to avoid when you're doing compositions like this is having everything too closed off, like you're trying to hide something. Like when you had your arms like that, I definitely could see like, oh, you're trying to hide. It feels like you're trying to hide hands, which I get it. Hands are hard to draw, but we don't want to give that feeling off. So we want to open up our characters, make their bodies interact a little bit more with the environment. So that helps create really nice negative shapes, but also it helps connect the characters with the environment. So like how you had Aki's hands like poking out, you did a really good job, and that like creates this really nice negative shape right here, you see? And so we can do the same thing for Angel. We can use Angel's wings to also help you break up the composition a little bit. Oh, that's why. Okay, didn't make sense. This needs to be angled out a little bit more. One thing I don't like about 3D programs is because they don't have shadows on, so you can't forget to put shadows in. All right, so like the chair leg right here, it's gonna look flat because we don't have shadows. And so right now I'm gonna just do some quick shadow work for you, save you some time. So even if we are, you see how like in the artist that you sent me, they still have dramatic shadows even if they're, you know, using these like vibrant colors, sort of flat looking image. And so even in Angel and Aki, you got to make sure you have a shadow because it helps define the figure better. And so they are using a very cool shadow. And then we have to figure out what's our light source. What do we want to do? So they have a nice window facing backwards, and so they're making all their shadows really cool. So we're gonna also make our shadows cool. And you might not think about it, but there's actually more shadow being cast downwards like this, and it would help separate like the top half of the figure and the bottom half if you just put everything down here in shadow. Because if you think about it, if the light is coming from top down, his head's gonna also cast a shadow on his like thighs and everything. So we gotta deepen that up. Even when you're sitting, you have a tiny bit of shadow, so let's not forget that. Especially right here where the wing is on the chair. And then we can make these shadows on the table a little bit warmer, because the table is slightly warmer, and then I'll help balance it out a little bit. But we don't want to do too many like cool and too much warm, because you'll see like a majority of these are cooler as it gets closer to the object, and then it gets warmer away from it, but it doesn't quite hit this like super magenta color that you got here. And if you want to sort of steal this artist's way of doing reflections, they choose this really nice neon green, and we can put some of that on the floor here too, to kind of like balance off this really vibrant color scheme that we've got going. I think the main issue is that because they have this darkness here, that's why the neon green comes off pretty bright, but we'll see if we can add some darkness to here. Maybe even Let's see. Let's try adding that reflection real quick. I'm gonna use let's try overlay first and see if that works. If that doesn't work, we will. Yes, I know you like saturated colors. I like saturated colors too, but there's like a good balance between using too much and then just enough. So it's like it's a party trick. Gotta figure out what's the right way to go about it. Oh my god, can you see my Photoshop loves me? Okay. Let's bust that. Actually, yeah, kind of works. Kind of works. All right. So for these reflections to make sense, we have to think about where the heck would we even have reflections? Maybe particularly right here, since you already have that nice green. Maybe we can imagine like the reflections are of the figures. And again, I gotta pull out my grid again. And we're gonna fix this perspective issue. So here is our, right here, we're gonna pretend everything, we're gonna pretend the wall is here. So that means you gotta do everything. The wall stops here maybe? Okay, so keeps going up. Definitely perspective is like one of the hardest things to do, and even now I'm not an expert on it, but I find that if you look more at perfect, yeah, just, you know, extend the composition, make it 1920 by 1080, animate the smoke, and then you've got a lo-fi music chill out. Perfect. I'll even bust that out for you right there. Perfect. And you know, there we go. Fix that. Then you even got even more space to do more picture frames, or you could just do some kind of window. That's brings some of that darkness in there or something. I don't know. easy 2 mil views right there. It's a scam. It's a total scam, man. And then you can add, I don't know, some of that darkness in there. Some city lights or something, or another reference to Chainsaw Man. Like there's a figure popping in like in the background. Just whoosh, hello. That kind of thing. Opportunity right there. But anyway, back to the image. Trying to find that nice 2/3 composition. If they're not made to be replayed, I feel like there's really no point in having them. It's like part of the appeal of super generic videos where it's like you either it's funny or it's super aesthetic and you're like, damn, I want to hear it or see it again. And that's how like they get rack up the views. Let's see. Right, I was going to fix the scaling of Angel. She's not on there. She's not on a different layer, so you're gonna have to forgive me for how I'm trying to do this right now. Okay. Just pretend that worked. Okay, just fix that real quick. Ooh, throw that wing in there. And another thing about bird wings or angel wings is that the interior is sort of like a cup. So you can imagine that there's going to be some shadows, especially like here. And then it gets broken up by the feather ends. And then you can look more at like how actual bird wings are shaped. And I think, let me see, what are some good bird wings? I feel like swan wings sometimes are good. Let's see. Swan wings. All right, so like wings like this might be a good case study for how you might do angel wings. You might also just look at like generic like bird, like canaries or swallows. Those wings might also work for you. But you see how like there's that cup, that shadow region. Squint your eyes real quick for me. That shadow region. So we gotta capture that here too. It's like just a quick fix. Obviously you're gonna have to go back and actually render these in because I don't have enough time to render these wings so perfectly, but I think the main issues here were pretty much addressed. Yeah, you got me, perfect. I want to see the finished product afterwards then. So the arm here, throw in maybe something, some kind of thing here, maybe eating the cake actually, like interacting with the environment like you're eating the cake. I would also push some of these objects away so you're not, because you don't want cake on their suit. So you're gonna have to push that away. You could bring some of that green here, just like one tad of that green, to combine, to like sort of tie the environment together. Aki's foot is like a tad bit big, if you know what I mean. Like, since this is like a top down angle, I don't think his foot would be that big. His foot would probably be slightly smaller. Unless you're trying to say something about Aki, okay? I know what they say about men with big feet. I don't know what you're trying to say, Greta, okay? I don't know what you're trying to say. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you purposely did that, and if that's the case, go for it. Yeah, so you gotta be careful what you're doing with the perspective, you know? All right. Right here, his leg would be, if it's top down shadow, top down lighting, his leg would be like that. Let's see, there we go. Fix his leg. I'm going to try to get more of that round shape because when you're from top down, you have to imagine the body like a tube. So everything's going to look very tube-like. It really helps me when I'm doing extreme angles is to reduce the body into like geometric shapes. So like even now, I'm gonna need to see Aki get that bigger upper body, and then the lower body's gonna be like skinnier. as a result. Let's get rid of this swan. We don't need it. And then some more quick shadow fixes to help bring out your composition. We can maybe drag down some of these shadows. Even though realistically, I don't think they would actually cast that long of a shadow, but we can do that in art, so it looks better for our compositions. And you notice how like I'm leaving a little bit of space? That's to help balance out, and we don't want things touching edges or lining up too perfectly. And then his smoke. May I make a slight modification to the shape? When you're thinking of smoke, you want it to be as curvy and S-shape as possible, so it feels more natural, because in real life smoke is like very whimsical, very all over the place. And so some of these areas might not be even be lit. And I know we want to bring the composition up, but I don't think cigarette smoke is like that permeating. So I would just let that drift off over there. So push that. It might look better if the shape is like this, rather than super straight and aligned with the leg. I'm gonna bring his hand back. Sorry. Yeah, you need the organic shape. Yeah, that's why I'm saying exaggerate the organicness. You might even, maybe something you can consider is changing the position of this plant, because it's like, maybe you need to add it like this. To help break up that shape, maybe. Or even if you might want, you could do, say, like a lamp right here to break up all the geometric sharp angles that you have, and then just, you know, pretend you're looking at the perspective of like some fly on the lighting on the ceiling. Oh my gosh, the chat's showing up. Haha, it's finally working. All right. I'm sorry, that's just so uncalled for. Anyway, the car, don't forget, bring some of this like really nice bright orange. Since you like saturated colors, orange and yellows tends to be a very nice combo. I might even bring some of that orange right here. And let's see. I think you can push the saturation of Pochita a little bit more. Yeah, saturation. I may change. I may not make this all saturated blue, like maybe some of it's like the reflection of the light or something. Just because we don't want too much saturation everywhere, remember? So let's do ourselves a quick favor. Get rid of some of that saturation just a tad bit. And since it is also glass, you know, there has to be reflection. It would make sense that way. Some generic shapes right there. I'm not sure. I usually play around for reflections, like, oh, do I like this shape? Maybe I don't like this shape. And then sometimes I might add just a tad bit of color back in there. Something like that, maybe. All right, so you remember what I said? Gotta first fix up the angle of the characters. I would say push in that. There you go. See how everything looks more reflective of like, oh, it's a top-down angle. So everything's gotta go shoop. All right, I'll call it for today. I think you can fix most of this stuff by fixing the angle of the characters and then just changing, you know, the composition. So it's a little bit, all these characters are sitting a little bit more further down on the composition. So you get that nice 2/3. So if you ever studied like traditional or like composition techniques, they typically recommend you try to keep a 2/3 rule because it looks the most aesthetically pleasing to the eye. So like you want to keep most of the stuff either in the lower 2/3, upper 2/3, or if it's horizontal, same difference, that kind of thing. All right, let's go on to Misu because Misu's here and I don't want to keep him waiting. Let's bust out a reference photo for skulls. I believe Portrait Studio has a skull. Quick water break. Everyone drink some water. Yeehaw! Yeah, no, honestly, don't worry. If you don't have any like finished work for the critique session, just throw in whatever you've been playing around with, and like maybe we can all mess around with it too. Or maybe I'm gonna troll you and like add something, add a little bit of challenge to it. Get rid of this baby. Goodbye. Skulls, perfect. Toggle jawbone. Oh, perfect. Even better. Anyway, rotate this baby. Boop, goodbye. Alright, so I think most of your skulls are looking pretty good. I'm gonna get rid of this stage. I don't like this stage. Delete. Yes, get out of here. I would just say for here, yeah, the mandible. So if you can think about it, when you are doing a just like a regular human head and doing the downward perspective, here's how the chin would work. I'm breaking it down into like the super basic geometric forms, and so this is typically how you would imagine the face. Okay, so that same logic applies for the skull. So that means when you are doing a more downward angles, the skull is going to get sort of like, oh my god. It's gonna get more of that U-shaped curve instead. And then the way you want to maintain the nice curves, because right here I think this part could be a little bit higher. Let's say you're gonna want to keep those guidelines because you see how far back you pushed it. See how lined up it is. So whenever you're doing the skull, I think the box method approach is like a real good start, but you're gonna want to make sure that you are measuring the distances from the boxes. Like for me, I never found the box to be super helpful after a certain extent. Like I found it was just easier for me to just draw like a general shape like this. And then go from there. Alright, so the skull. Making sure that you maintain that the cheekbone typically lines up with the bottom of the jaw, see? Like in that angle. So to fix ourselves, what we gotta do is do a little bit of liquify. But props to you for doing so many different angles of the skull. I typically go crazy if I had to do this many angles. Oh, forget that. Yeah, boxes, I think there have been some teachers who teach it like use a box to get the general like size of the skull and then use that as a reference point, but I don't visualize like that, so I typically just think of an egg and then I try to simplify, like shave off parts of that egg in order to create the skull. So we're gonna line up that skull first. Get that nice curve right here. So 3D, 3/4, even if we're not just drawing the skull, we're drawing an actual face. This part has that nice angle like that. All right, so don't push it in too much or else it's gonna end up looking very like those gremlin kind of creatures. It's gonna look very much like not a human skull, but like a more goblin-like. All right, see, it's lined up a little bit better, but again, this it's gotta be pushed up because even if we are at an angle, we're still following the curve of the general skull. And then the nose right here. Oh, I heard a ding ding, someone followed. Yeah, that's why I'm trying out the... You're here, what did you miss? You missed everything. You missed me roasting Greta about her horrendous perspective issues. Oh my goodness, what did I... Yeah, horrendous issues about perspective, but I was also roasting her about the size of Aki's feet, but I guess you'll have to go back to see that. Anyway, more skulls. I'm gonna fix your nose because remember we're following the curve and the nose typically would lie just a little bit further down from the eye. So the eye is about halfway from the head, halfway of the head. And then nose is about, I guess, the length of your eye, sort of. And then the mouth, I'm gonna do us a favor and fix that. So you can just draw a general line for where the teeth would be. And then you can start like, you know, sketching out the teeth. And then I'm gonna change the lighting here. Doop, goodbye. I'm gonna change the lighting here so we can better see the... Okay, maybe I should do camera lighting. There we go. So you can better see like the skull. Okay, so you see right here, you gotta make sure you catch that cheekbone. Pop it right here. And so typically the cheekbone will have this really distinct shadow right up to here. If you can feel your own cheekbone, it sinks in. That's why when you smile, you have, everyone has that kind of like apples of the cheek kind of thing. And then your teeth sits here. even if we're doing skulls from like an upward angle, it's always going to have that really nice kind of smooth curve. So try to make things as smooth as possible when you are sketching the skull or the human body, because the human body is a very organic shape. We tend to not have very sharp lumps. Rather, we have like very smooth descending kind of lines. Like that. Simplify that into a curve. Even though there is like a slight, bump here, we can just, get rid of it, pretend it's one single C. And when you push the skull so far back, it ends up looking more childlike because children have that bigger skull. So we have to push this forward just a tad bit. And that's where I feel like the box is really good for that. Your second arch enemy, you gotta learn to simplify, Misu. If we want to be effective and fast, we gotta simplify. Alright. So I'm using this 2B pencil or something like that to try to do some of that shading, sketching like that. And then don't forget to, do the shadows after you're done sketching, because the shadows really help make it look a lot better. So I'm not going to do too much of the shadows, because I'm sure you are competent enough to do some more studies, because that I would be taking away the fun if I do all the shadows for you right now. Right after perspective, you are correct. Perspective is a bitch and a half. Like, there's this thing called a fisheye perspective, and that shit is so hard to actually carry out. Let me see if I can fisheye lens. It's so hard to do, but it creates very interesting pictures. Fisheye perspective. Like, I learned it. Oh my Jesus Christ. Okay. Copy. Like this fisheye perspective, aka, is called the 5-point perspective, and basically you're supposed to draw like 5 points and like do perspective like that, and holy shit, can you imagine trying to figure out what the hell to do with this shit? Like, I think in high school I had an art assignment where I was supposed to do a fisheye perspective, and I was like, holy shit. I just basically opted. I think, okay, so let's see if we can break down what the heck this is. So we're gonna try to identify the focal points. And so since it's curving this way, I can assume that there's one focal point here, another focal point here, one probably here, probably just like that. That's why everything is so curved out like that. And that's where you get the 5 points. But I am not confidente that that is correct. When I do try to do fish point perspective, I typically just try to think about it like a ball. So everything's gonna be curved like a ball. If that helps. Yeah, it can look really good like this really nice like ball, crystal ball effect, but I think you definitely have to practice a lot to get really good at it. It's a dangerous territory you can run into. So let's not worry about that for today. Let's just finish up looking at how your angles are looking. Okay, so top down is probably the hardest for the skull, because even for top down for the regular human face, it's pretty difficult for me when I'm doing top down again. Simplify into shapes. Let me see. I think you're less top down than me. Oop. Oh my god. No, reset camera, please. Okay. So you're right about there, maybe? Okay. So I think you got the general shape of the V pretty good. The eyes look a little bit close. If you recall, you gotta have this nice triangle shape right here. So the eye gotta be pushed out a little bit to the left from the center. Like if you can measure the distance of the eye from the center line, I think this is a tad bit close. All right, we got some spammers in the chat here. I don't play League, so you can take your League talk out of here. I only play Genshin. That's about it. No, it just amuses me. For your friend? Oh. Good for him, I guess. But this is an art stream. We here to get good at art. Skull. 3/4 view. Let's look, baby. Again, we gotta be careful. Measure the angles a little bit correctly. Like just imagine if you're drawing an actual face. Get roasted. He's not that great. Well, I don't play League at all, so I would be destroyed if I tried playing League. Get roasted, yeah. Dude, what the hell is this shit? Why? Okay, I feel like a main issue you have is like you put everything you rely too much on the box, so I think you need to get rid of the box issue. Let's go back to our egg shape. The egg shape will save you. Egg shape is our god. All right. If you're thinking about chins, the only time I've seen a chin this broad is when I'm seeing the TikTok mans, all right? The broadest chin you will ever see, all right? Alpha male skull. Exactly, that's what you're drawing right here. The biggest chin of them all, the pointiest. Chad. Can't forget the Chad hair. That's the type of chin the jaw you're drawing. So you need to push that chin in, that mandible in, because it tends to be more on a curve rather than straight down. As much as we love our Chads, okay? We can't be doing that shit here. We're trying to learn how to draw realistically before we stylize. So this baby's gotta... Goodbye, get this shit out. Push that baby in. Push this baby out, because that is the angle. And so that also means the mouth is also going to be following that angle, okay? And the chin tends to be, not the chin, the cheek. Whenever I draw the cheek, it's always going to be some kind of shape like that. Some form of that, it doesn't matter. Some form of that, especially if you are on a 3/4, like this plane, this general plane. Yeah, these skulls look like a pain in the ass, but I think it's so fun to be able to just flex, like automatically draw a skull. Like, I don't know. I'm not an expert at skulls either, but it can definitely make for like interesting Halloween characters. Like, see, I'm not an expert at skulls, but in general, it makes, if you have like a general idea of like the main structures of the skull, right? Main structures, you can simplify, you can like do a little bit of stylization. So like the flaming skull or something like that. Okay, this is like practice, okay? I had to practice to get this shit, okay? It was not easy to learn it. And even then, it's not very accurate. Like, the teeth should be poking out more and shit, but I'm lazy. If I communicate the message like, oh, he's an evil sorcerer, then I feel like I'm okay. I'm okay. Whoosh. I got the biggest Halloween cape you'll ever see with your little brooch and everything. And then the important thing is, if you want to do scary characters, then that's why you would need to study the teeth, because you have to understand how vampire teeth would look natural along with real teeth. So like the vampire teeth is going to be on your canines, so it would still wrap around the skull like that. So Midori, even though you didn't finish your skull sketches, good conversation can still happen. So just throw whatever you want at me and I will somehow bring it into my life, okay? So if you wanted to draw vampires and stuff, you know, here's how you do it. Look at the canines right here. Ooh. Canines. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Canines are right here. Yeah, not more than 5 minutes. So real quick, if I were to say to draw this skull real quick, how would I go about it? All right, let's do this on a different layer so I'm not a fool if I want to erase. Move that over. I want to give myself more space. That's correct. So real quick, lay down the general shape of the skull first. Okay. Hope you guys are counting me. Center lines, eye line, nose, teeth. All right, start with the shape of the cheek. Get that jawline in there because we love our chads. Get that cheekbone in there. Teeth, nose, eyeball. So the way you know how to draw eye sockets is think about where would your eyebrows be? And then that's approximately where the eye socket would start, because if you feel your own eyebrows right now, feel them for me. Your eyebrows hit just where the top of the eye socket would hit. So if you know where to draw eyebrows, it's about right. So you see how I'm not sweating the details too much. I'm just going for what's the light and darks real quick. And then right here, you'll see that there's like this little indentation that comes from the cheekbone right here. This part. You don't technically need to be able to draw a skull, but being able to draw the skull, or at least understand how the human skull is shaped is very helpful for drawing actual faces. Because if you're wanting to exaggerate features, like say how in what's it called, the Disney's adaptation, the live version of Maleficent, like Angelina Jolie's cheekbone is like sharp as F. Like that's where knowing how the cheekbone is shaped would be really helpful. You haven't finished it? No worries. Take your time, man. It took me a bit to record those classes, so, you know, if it takes you a bit to learn them all, it's fine. And each, like, video is, like, pretty chock-packed. Like, when they told me to record it, like, I tried to put as much as I could within the hour, because they're like, the typical video length is like 30 minutes to an hour, and they're like, oh, try to keep it within, like, try to make it as concise as possible. I was like, dude, there's no freaking way I'm gonna be able to put everything I know about character design into like 1 hour, especially if I'm trying to give you both the basics of drawing foundations while also trying to teach you how to like stylize it. That shit's hard. So if you don't learn everything all at once, that is why I have like a Patreon, so I can add more stuff about what I know, share it with you guys. Or that is why I also have the Discord, so everyone can share their collective knowledge and we can all become real good and defeat these AIs. I'm highly tempted to create artwork with poorly drawn hands from now on, so AI can't steal my art and learn how to draw hands, and so we'll always have a job. Should I make that a challenge? I should just make that a challenge for all artists. Don't draw hands correctly. Yeah, for sure. I think because when they approached me, they're a Korean-based company, so for sure that part is like a little bit like, I think most of the courses on that site is like in Korean, so that part is like, I don't speak Korean. No Korean. I only speak mediocre beginner 5-year-old Japanese because that's what I learned from Duolingo. And then I speak intermediate Mandarin, somewhat okay Cantonese, and then I don't know what even is English. Okay, so we got our teeth. Twice, thrice, thrice. If you can't get it the first time. I get lazy with the teeth, man. Unless we're drawing fangs, in which case I immediately start tweeting details. Yeah. I think as talented and skilled as like Korean artists are, it does require you to have like a lot of time to like also read the subs and learn how to draw. That's why I feel like if you're a beginner, it's best to like learn in your own native language, so you can just focus on the drawing part and not have to stress so much about like, oh, I have to look at the subtitles also. Whatever, I'm lazy. Well, this is how I'm trying to get away with drawing dating. Oh, the cigarette? Oh, it's not a cigarette. So, because this brush is a square pastel brush, it does this weird thing where it reflects how I'm putting my pencil down or something like that. I can hide it if it bothers you too much, but it's basically, you know, you see how like, ooh, wee, like whenever I'm drawing it moves. That's basically what it is. I don't know why it shows up, but cigarette. You are too obsessed with Greta's cigarette smoke, man. Get out of here. We're talking about skulls. All right, just gonna look over a couple. This one, I would go back and fix this one for sure. Like, do you see how short the distance of the eyeballs. Okay, let's see if I can rotate this better. So this is the supposed angle that you are proposing to me. All right. Do you see how much further up the eye skull is? So remember our guidelines? This is why I highly petition that use guidelines instead of the box method, because the box method is too abstract and you don't have enough guideline positions for you to measure from. And so when your face is upwards, everything gets foreshortened. This top part gets shorter, so that means your eyeballs gotta go up. Can't see no difference. The app, yeah, okay. So this is called Portrait Studio. This is a what's it called? It's not, you don't have to 3D model. It's just comes with a lot of models already, so you can choose. You can use it to sort of like a reference generator, basically. Yeah, I mentioned this in Colosso, yeah. So this is the model. This is the program. I really like using it because I'm not a genius or an expert. I can't be like that one artist who uses math to calculate how to do lighting and reflections. It's this Korean artist, I forgot his name, but he's like does anime typed art. And he's like super popular on the Colosso site, I think. But he basically somehow uses math and calculus to know exactly where to put a bounce light, and I'm like, dude, that's so much work. I literally have not touched calculus in 4 years. So basically I don't know calculus anymore. But anyway, this program's really great because you can use it to figure out where you want to light stuff without having to work so hard to do some math. The program does it all for you. And I think they have a good variety of like the types of models that you need typically when you're drawing. So, all right, Misu, foreshorten this bitch. All right, I don't want to see this shit here anymore. Next time I see this, I'm gonna roast you extra hard. So push that chin out, and right here. So the thing is, it's gonna poke all the way under. Next one. Perfect. I want top tier 5-star skulls that you draw within 10 minutes. All right. I don't. If you tell me you took another 3 days to draw them, I'm going to be very disappointed. Okay. If I teach you to simplify using this type of method, that means it should not take you more than 5 to 10 minutes to create one skull, especially if you're not shading. But if you are also shading, I will give you 15 minutes max. Alright, so I think this skull looks pretty good, but you are jutting it out a little bit, so it looks a little bit more like an ape skull. 5-point perspective. Can you even do it? Is it possible to do 5-point perspective? Let's see. Alright, we're gonna imagine self a circle. Oh, that's not the circle I want. Shape. I believe in you too, Misu. If you can do a 5-point perspective skull, I will redraw your icon for you and you can use it for free. All right, that's the deal. You do the 5-point perspective, I'll repaint your icon, your profile icon. Bet. If I'm disappointed, you're getting nothing, all right? That's the deal. Alright, so how would you even do that? I don't know. What is this shit like? Okay, you would have to definitely exaggerate All right, so I am showing you a demo of how you may perhaps do it. So there's no excuse of not being able to accomplish it, all right? Oh my goodness, good lord, how would you even fucking do this? All right. Jesus Christ. I hate that you made me. You've relegated me to doing this. I hate it. I hate it so much. Like, I am not a skull expert. All this shit I'm doing right now is so out of my league. All right, let's see. Bust this baby. Maybe I can get a better idea of how I'm supposed to do this shit. I hate this so much. I don't even know how you would like stretch the skull any further than this. Like, maybe I make this smaller? I don't know, maybe you, some shit like that, maybe. Alright, I guess we're doing top-down angle because I don't actually know how to do skulls anymore. I don't know, maybe that would be the 5-point perspective, but I don't actually know. Someone more skilled than me can perhaps do this real easy. Alright, another Chad chin right here. Perspective do be hard, man. It's time to take some lessons, even for me. Alright, let's just... I think that's the closest we're gonna get to a 5-point for me. Because without the head looking like an alien. Because if I make this any longer, we're starting to get into ET territory. Alright? ET. Or is that more of a... what's it called? The alien? Predator? Just don't draw in perspective. I wish we could do that, okay? I wish we could do that. You really want everyone to hate you, don't you? Alright, okay, sounds like I need to do a little bit of research and we're gonna come back with a perspective challenge. Not as if I didn't do enough perspective for you when we were doing the mirror challenge. I'll add it in. I'll add it in. All right, everyone can thank me, Sue, for recommending we do perspective next month. Give a big round of applause to me, Sue. Woo! I will give you an option, okay? I will at least give you the option to opt for a 3-point perspective or a 5-point if you are a crazy, crazy son of a bitch like me, Sue. All right. All right, so skulls. Hope this was helpful for how you may do skulls in the future, Mizu. So next month, next month's crit sesh, I will be seeing your godlike Chad skulls, 5 of them. 5-point perspective, 5-point perspective, okay? And then I will redraw your icon. If I don't see it in the submissions, too bad, so sad. Okay. Let me delete this now. Okay, so finally we are working on Jesse's. So the main issue with this piece, why it looks bland, is because you don't fucking know what the lighting is. Like, you need to be, when you start an illustration, the best way is to try to, if you're not comfortable, at least, if you don't have a very clear lighting situation in mind, you're gonna want to bust everything into black and white and do some value composition studies. The evil Mickey Mouse. Okay, if you don't do the 5-point perspective, all you're getting from me is a very lazily drawn Mickey Mouse. But if you do the 5-point perspective and it looks good to me, I'll do it much better. I will do it fully rendered. Alright, so onto the lighting. Let's see. Figures. Let's just throw a figure in here. And so back to what I was saying. If you're not comfortable or you're not sure about the lighting, what you want to do is create little mini thumbnails, like I mentioned in my course, but you just do little thumbnails, value thumbnails, and you try to figure out, okay, what's my lighting situation? So everything's gonna be pretty dark. Oh, hide that baby. Okay. Let me just do this on a different canvas, make my life easier, okay? There we go. Zoom out, zoom out, zoom out. So you're just gonna do mini compositions. So if it's an idol, like a concert, typically you're gonna want the lighting to be on the character itself, right? So that means this front section's gonna be dark because silhouetted, whereas maybe the stage is brightly lit. And we're going to also make everything shifted a little lower so you get that nice 2/3 again. So let's bust this baby here. Maybe your character is here. And you're gonna get this sort of, okay, we want to make her in the brightest, but not quite white. Hold a sec. I will be BRB. Someone's knocking on my door. Keep looking at this part for now. Alright, sorry about that. I will finish this up real quick because I do have something in about 10 minutes I have to do. So, alright, so first things first, what you want to do is, oh my god, not be using gray. How about we use something a bit more appealing? Say, I don't know, is this like a, I feel like even if it is like a ceiling, maybe you can make it more dreamy by making it a night sky. I spent way too much time fucking around with vampires. My time management skill is on point. On point. Alright, so maybe some stars here or something like that. We're going to push up the overall composition just a tad bit. Just a tad bit. And I would say we want to avoid using grays so much because gray will immediately sap up all the color from your composition. So if possible, we don't want to use pure gray, we want to use a slightly tinted, not tinted, slightly colored version of the gray. So like, see how I'm using this blue gray instead of your gray, so that might look better. We can make her whole thing. It's really difficult for me to fix the lighting immediately, but what I can do is show you how you can approach the whole lighting situation. Just that part right there. Erase away this part. I'm such a master of the lasso tool, as you can see, that I am catching every single little nook and cranny, no problems whatsoever. Okay, there we go. So I'm gonna reduce that a little bit. Get rid of that there. Oop. Nope. Nah, I don't like that. We're just gonna keep it in the blues, purples, and oranges today. So what you want to do is then increase the brightness. I would also, real quick fixes for composition, why it's looking so bland is because you don't have enough layering happening. Trying to think if we want to have yeah, crit speed run. I believe in you. Once I tell you how to go about these changes, you will fix these on your own, and I will see them in the revised Discord. Okay, I want to see these revised in the Discord. Or if you don't want to send them into the Discord, you can put them back in for next month's critique. Trust, yeah, I will trust you. Okay, so I am trying to figure out how to get these to be more stacked, because you have so much empty space. I definitely feel like you could put like maybe some speakers here, or like even, let me just cut that out so I can do some erasing. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to lower the entire eye line. Lower the eye line to here. And then if somehow I can potentially get this character to be slightly bigger. Slightly bigger. everything is just too lined up right now. Like when you have everything so lined up in the back, especially, it's going to look very much too much. Like the audience's eyes, they don't have a good sense of like, okay, where can I focus my eyes on? And you know, to fill the space, you want to scatter it a little bit. So you see how like this guy might be here. Let's hide that. And then I'm not gonna worry too much about proportions of the figure right now, because the main issue of this piece is mostly just the lighting and the way you've set up the composition a little bit. Okay, so bring back some of those shadows. Not sure how it will do that, just because it would require a total repaint to recreate some of those high contrast. But I'm just going, you know what, I'm just gonna simplify all these shapes. Or better yet, you know what? Let's not worry about color right now. I feel like you're not ready for color for this piece. We need to go back to black and white. So, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Okay, we're gonna go back to black and white. So, black and white. I'm gonna merge these layers. I want to fix up some of this lighting issue. So in the background, maybe I don't. Background, I'm going to make it slightly darker. All right, now we merge. Flatten image. Oop. Oop. How is it so difficult to do a simple background? Because I am incompetent at this. Okay. Okay, the reason I'm doing a darker background is so that this character is going to pop up, right? Oop. So let's get this baby out of here. All right, and so that's why doing these smaller thumbnails using values will look the best, or help you avoid these late illustration issues, because right now that's why we're struggling so much to try to get everything to look good, because we didn't do a good enough like thumbnail with values. So if you want to redo this painting, I would highly recommend you just start using black and white and do like really quick these types of sketches, just like how in my course I mentioned, because then you can just figure out whether or not it looks good in the first place. Just like that. It doesn't even have to be super clean, as long as you're, you know, figuring out the values of the piece. Okay. So anyway, I will so the stage has to be darker, or at least you have to bring back some shadows. So we're gonna pretend that she has a spotlight from up here, okay? So that means this top part is going to catch a shit ton of light. It's also gonna help bring out your character a little bit, darken up the background a little bit. See how much contrast that got? Yeah, right? Look at how I think you were your values before, you're just too afraid to go dark. And so you have to just I had that issue, same issue. I was too afraid to go dark at the beginning, but now you'll realize that a lot of things will pop out more as bright if you just go darker. So especially this part, if you wanted to get that glow stick effect. Erase that right there, merge that down. If you want to get that glow stick effect, see how I'm only using like this type of gray. I'm not even in the white section, but it's reading as very bright. And then maybe I won't do the spotlight this way. Instead, I'll do it facing her, so then she gets like more of that lighting. Right? Or if you wanted like LCDs in the background to help you fill up some of that space, that's also an option. So the LCDs can be like a slight gray, so it's not gonna fight against her, which we're gonna do most of the whites on. Okay, so her hair in the top. Really rough, okay? This is super rough because it will take me much more time to try to fix everything right now. Can't forget, her hair's gotta have that nice shadow, but also we can pretend that the light behind is making her hair kind of glow from within and cheat a little bit. And when we do hair, we don't want to do such big sections, okay? We want to break it up. So for the drummer, to, you know, pop him out a little bit, LCD screen right behind him or something, I don't know. Just like how in concerts they have LCD screens, maybe we break up some of that shape using LCD screens. Just like that. See how we're now, you know, interacting better with the environment. We want to add diagonals, we want to break up solid rectangles, we want to pop things out. So that's why I'm saying for this piece, let's not add color yet, okay? I just want you to go back, do this all in black and white so you can practice getting lighting really well done and values really well done before we then maybe add some color back into it. Because right now I see you're running into like the issue of like, oh, it's looking very dull. And that's because you're focusing on way too many issues, tackling way too many things at once, and it's real difficult. Okay, so we're going to make this right here slightly brighter because we're pretending she has like a spotlight right here. And then this is your opportunity to throw some unique set design. Okay. And then we're just going to make sure that our drummers are getting some of that shadow, okay? Shum shum, some kind of thing to help you fill up the spaces because you just have way too much going on. Maybe there's like a dancer here or something, or you can even consider making this drummer even bigger. Okay, and so I am in a rush, but we will call it for today. I'll keep all these. I'll keep all these PSDs and I'll upload them to the Patreon. Oh, I can, yeah, totally. I will be uploading all these to the Discord and the Patreon. And you can also, once I have a little more time, I'll upload these videos onto YouTube. So you can go back and watch my advice. And you can even hear about what I talked about for Greta's illustration with Aki. I feel like that was totally uncalled for. A bit of rated R. So young ones, if you don't understand it, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. But okay. It was real fun talking to y'all, and I might stream a little bit more next week because I'm more free. I don't have work. I don't have to go into work. So we can chill a bit more. And all right. Just drink some water, eat some food. I will see you later. Bye bye.